Welcome back to the garage, ladies and gents, and thanks so much for joining us. Well, it is time to start doing some cleanup on this old ELECTRA Glide Plus. We got plenty of more stuff to remove and plenty of other things to work on, so let's jump right in and get busy. Promise you guys this is the last time we spray this bike off. I think this is number 3, if I'm counting. I don't know why I'm spraying that tank. That's going bye-bye anyway. And we did order some of our parts back there for the back. We had to get another oil tank, went ahead and got that, as well as the side covers. So hopefully that stuff will show up, and then we can, start piecing it all together and figure out how the puzzle pieces go, because it's going to be pretty confusing. I'm sure there's going to be some grinding and some cutting and all that fun, as to be expected. I'm kind of impressed. Our cleaning actually did pretty darn good. I mean, she's still quite the mess, but at least I can see, at least I can clearly see everything with the wires now whenever I have to start tracing all that monstrosity down. But we're going to start doing some work here on the front end. We got a few more things to remove. We're going to go ahead and pull our fork legs out completely. We'll probably I can't talk. We'll probably leave them resting in the bike, because we're going to do that whenever we ultimately end up sanding down and polishing the lower fork sliders. But I need to drop them to see if the fork seals are leaking. Quite frankly, if they're not, I'll be pretty shocked. I'm going to get these covers off so we can clean them up. And also, got to work on these little studs here on the end, especially this one right here, because I'm afraid some of these are going to be stuck in there, and unfortunately, we might have to drill them out. Let's see what we got here. We can get these things off. Somebody had some windshield quick disconnect mounts on here. Will it come out this easy? Uh-oh. Well, maybe not. I don't know if these vice grips are going to work good on these. Oh, they're not coming out. Let's see if we can double nut the end of these and get this to break loose. Oh, there it goes. It's turning. Yay. Success. There's one. Let's see how the threads look. Threads aren't bad. Okay, good. And this one up. Oh, this one's actually, check that out. This one's actually loose. There was not much threads up in there, but they look okay. Well, that's good. One side done. Pretty sure this one will come out. This one's got me worried because I got maybe a 1/4 of an inch sticking out. Let's see if this will just come on out with regular pliers. Oh yeah, it's turning. That is a good sign. And those threads look like they might be boogered up just a little, but I think we can make it work. And this is what I'm dealing with on this one. You can see, just put my finger there for reference. It is not much, so we'll try to get the vice grips on it and heat it, but I have a feeling this one's going to have to be drilled out. Put a little heat on it already. Let's see if we can get something here. I have low expectations. Probably just need some, probably just need to go get some bigger vice grips. All right. Nothing. Nothing, as I assumed. God, man. And I can't really flat spot it either. Let's try a different spot here. I've got them on there pretty tight. Oh, she ain't budging. Not at all. Well, that stinks about that bolt, but I got to go by Harbor Freight anyway and get new drill bits, so I'll go pick those up and take care of that. Doesn't surprise me, though. It's not uncommon. Is this going to break loose? There it is. course, they're not going to come out easy. Why would I think that? Well, this is escalating pretty fast. And don't try this at home, boys and girls. This is not, this is a good way to tear stuff up, but this bike's already pretty much crappy, so I'm not worried about it. Oh, it's coming out though. Probably going to break my screwdriver. Oh boy. Boy, she's on there. Oh, it's going easier though. All right, these are coming out now. That's good. And we're going to go ahead and pull these all the way out because we've got to clean up the inside of that before these go back in. I'll just go ahead and drop them. Ooh. Yeah, there's just a lot of rust in there, which doesn't surprise me. But what you do then, just take some sandpaper in there, whatever you need. You know, sandpaper. You could probably use steel wool. Clean it up, polish it up, make it smooth. And you know, you don't want to do anything on your fork tubes themselves other than just clean them off. And they should go right back in. That's just from years of corrosion getting in there. But looking at our fork seals, I mean, aside from them just having some dust and debris in there, I see no leaks. So therefore, I see no reason to pull these, at least this one, apart. Might as well go ahead and pull these off while I'm at it. I don't know why in the world Harley uses a Phillips head on the front of these. At least I think it's Harley that did that. Might have to get the old vice grips on it. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Really what I need is one of those Phillips head impacts. And if this vice grips don't do it, then we're just gonna leave them, because I am not gonna deal with a freaking stuck bolt on these. Just saying. Well, that might be too tight. Oh, that got it. Well, it popped off, but I think I got it. Ah. Why on earth are there freaking screws holding this on? Why can't you put a gosh dang... I gotta stop being so PG, don't I? Why do you have to put this kind of a freaking fastener on here? What engineer came up with this? It's like Phillips head screws on a bowl, on a carburetor bowl. It's turning though, as I badmouth it. I hope this is the only area of this bike that's got fastener problems. Yeah, I think we're good now. Oh, it's going. Yes. Of course, we have an actual hex head bolt on this end. What a novel idea. All right, one side done. I seriously doubt this one's just going to drop down. I'll be very shocked if it does. When you do this, spray some penetrating fluid down in here and down here too. That'll help you out. Oh no, look. Look at this. This one's coming right down. See, this is what it should be doing. Beautiful. All right. Perfect, perfect. Boy, these tubes though, there's a lot of stuff on here. I'm surprised it wasn't hung up in there. And looking at these seals, it doesn't look that bad, but it does look, you can see here on the outside, that's a telltale sign of a leak. You can just see where there's just, you know, some oil's gotten down through there. It's not bad, but we'll probably replace them. It's probably the right thing to do, because for all I know, this thing could be like, you know, there could be no fluid in this, and then once you put fluid in, it'll just start leaking like crazy. Nothing like the factory putting stuff on that you're almost guaranteed to need vice grips to remove it. There it goes. Could have used an impact, I suppose, now that I think about it. I don't have one of those Phillips head impacts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically just a device that you put in there. You smack it really hard with a hammer, and the combination of the hammer forcing it down, it goes down and it turns. It helps pop them loose. Okay, threads are okay. We're in good shape. Was about to start removing our exhaust here, and I noticed some more custom welding done on this thing. So we already knew about our collector here on the exhaust was welded on, and I was already anticipating having to cut that off to remove everything. But I just noticed that our heat shields are actually welded directly to the exhaust themselves. Now I could probably go do some little bit of cutting, maybe some prying on it. I think what I'm going to do is just we're going to get out the scalpel, do a little cut right there, and do a little cut right there. Unfortunately, the Sawzall I had is broke, and I really need to replace that, especially in this garage. But I think we're going to give that a whirl with a grinder and see if I can take care of it. I'm also pretty certain this is not the right exhaust for this bike, which, given all the welding, is not really all that shocking. But our wires here for our cam sensor are actually up against the heat shield itself, and they're really, really close to the exhaust. So we'll check on those wires later. But somebody also left this guy loose here to kind of leave you, a convenient doorway to remove everything. Hey guys, Future Me here real quick. So I had a few comments on these pipes. I put a short out. Some people said, why don't you run the pipes? Another person said, why don't you, unbolt them from the heads like you're supposed to? All great comments, all great questions. I appreciate it so much. But what I was saying about these pipes pinching up on that cam cover and hitting those wires, you can actually see where the pipe's almost just kind of resting on it and it's almost tweaked. So my fear is it's putting a lot of pressure up on the studs on the heads. You start hitting that with a wrench, as rusty as they are. My fear is I was going to snap one of those. I definitely do not want that to happen, and I don't want these pipes anyway. So we're going to go after them with a grinder. Now let's get back to the action. Well, I added Sawzall to my Harbor Freight list of things that I need to replace. I don't know if I should be ashamed or pleased with what I just did. It looks like a tragic accident or something. These things up here are pretty rusty. I did soak them, but I'm just afraid. Oh no, that one's turning, I think, the right way. I'm afraid I might snap a head stud. There's one. Oh, am I going to have to cut this heat shield? Let's see here. No, I think I can get to it. There we are. Excellent. This exhaust has got to go. Get off of the bike. No stud removal either, or breaking. Outstanding. Now this should just come off. There we are. That's the bulk of it. There you can see the beautification of those welds. This might have been welded off the bike. I don't know. Maybe I could have gotten this sucker off as a whole, but she's gone now. It's going in the trash anyway. Oh, good. That one's, well, I think it's coming off. Might be, this one feels like it might be the whole stud coming out. No, I think it's the nut. Good. All right. And we got the fourth one. We got our eBay oil tank in finally, and she looks to be in pretty good shape. I'm actually rather impressed. And $45 with free shipping, kind of hard to beat that. And there was so much hackery on this bike. Fortunately, nothing has been cut off to keep us from mounting this thing up. So here in a few moments, we're going to remove this guy. We got to cut it out. And I say cut, of course, because we got to cut the lovely frame welds off of it. Once we get this thing cut out and removed, we can throw that oil tank on. I've also got the side covers for it. We can throw those on to kind of see how they look. We can do us a quick mock-up though on this side for the side cover. And fortunately, our little mount tabs are still up here to hang this thing from. And down here, looks like we're lining up perfect down there. Now, I'm not sure how Harley had these things mounted from the factories down here, if there's like some kind of a quick connect thing, but honestly, we'll just figure something out to make it work. And this bike would have had crash bars coming out like, sort of this way right here. You can see the opening. I am not going to be hunting these down, so this opening is just going to be there. I'm just not, that's just more stuff I don't feel like I need to be tracking down for this thing. If you saw the end of the last video, you saw where the bags that we're going to make work on this bike, they are not ELECTRA bags. So this is going to be, all of this right here is going to be pretty, it's going to be kind of Frankensteinish when we're all done. But again, the goal, make it look a little better and make the thing actually go down the road. And that's what we're going for. One of the main reasons I bought these too is because of the black paint with what we'll call, I don't know, orange or red pinstripe. It's kind of giving me a really good budget idea for the paint on the gas tank. But we'll just have to wait and see because, as you know, plans can change. Maybe we can throw this old oil tank on Marketplace. What do you think? Pre-owned, gently used. Got it. Well, not gonna lie, I got a little nervous. There was some smoke coming out of that tank when I was running the grinder, but on this side, all we've got is just a tiny, and it's actually hard to get to, just a teeny tiny little tack weld up there. And this thing's probably gonna drop. We do have two, I'll just call them little screws holding it there on the front, and they're loose, but I'm guessing it's just gonna fall, but let's see what happens. Well, that was rather uneventful. Kind of expected this thing to fall. Not that I wanted it to, but these little screws held, but boy, they're barely on there. And I can see why, because my gosh, you can't even get to them. Actually turning them. They did use nylocks. You know, I hope there's no welds. There's not any more welds on this thing down in here. It is possible. As much welding as on this bike. That would not be cool. Then I got to rip out all these electronics just to cut it out. Oh, where is it? Help me here. So I can see this one. Oh, there she goes. Now she fell. And of course the rear fender is blocking us from getting the oil tank out naturally. But it is loose though, so we got that going for us. So we'll get that fender off, and then while we got the grinder out, we'll go ahead and cut this monstrosity off. I'm thinking somebody should have told somebody back in the day to put the welder down and just, you know, step away from this bike. Wonder what the odds are that meth was involved in this bike. Just asking for a friend. That or alcohol, of course. Here's a better look at what we just cut off. You can see here, it looks like we had some, you know, combination of some spare parts going on here that just got kind of welded together. Looking at it on this side, we had chrome before. Looks like we got a little rattle can on it. But over here, where it was welded to the bike, this is where we cut it off. You can see there was actually a tip that was welded onto this bar right here. Wasn't even welded all the way, so this was probably going to crack, even though this part was actually welded pretty solid to the bike. Kind of a shame, though. These were probably good parts at once, but they're going in the trash now. Oh, they're loose. Naturally, we found some more interesting engineering on the bike. So looking at our mounts here for the shocks, you can see this is the head of the bolt that does not go through the sheet metal, by the way. Obviously, it's the head. And here's the end of it with the acorn nut. Same thing on that side. Well, for some reason, the heads of the bolt on both sides are spaced too far in. And what it's doing is it's actually pinching the fender pretty good. So we'll have to either muscle this out or maybe hammer it a little bit, which, you know, it's fixable. Still a little frustrating. Back here on these bolts, you can actually see the threads down through there, and of course somebody cranked on them. So what happened is whenever they tightened them without a spacer, you got sheet metal bending this way, and you got sheet metal bending that way. Fixable, but, you know, a little frustrating. Now for the ones we just removed, they did use these nuts right here as spacers, which, by the way, I 100% approve to use these as spacers. And you can see down in there, it actually kept anything from bending out. So when you use spacers, it works pretty well. Man, these are tight though. Everything else on this bike is extremely loose except for the ones that actually bent the sheet metal. Seems logical. Oh, look. Okay, now it's working. I see what the problem was. Now it's not. So now we're not hitting these bolts up here. It actually was bending everything else in towards the fender. So once we get all this spaced out correctly back here, it'll solve our problem. So that's good. At least that's the theory right now. There's one of them. Jeez. I mean, yeah, it wasn't lined up at all. You can look at our two sides now and clearly see the difference. This is the one we just removed. You can see how this is kind of relaxed and bent out versus over here where we're making serious contact up here on this bolt head, and then this one is just still kind of pinching that side in. So before, we just had both sides just pinching the fender like that. Well, you can tell how each corner of these mounting bolts is kind of pulling in a different direction, meaning none of this stuff was lined up. So before we just, throw this thing across the street to my buddy to start painting, man, that's tight. We're gonna have to make sure this thing mounts up the way we want it, because it's in pretty bad shape. So the fender is going to come out easy. I thought it was going to be locked in, but that's not the case. I think it's just going to fall. The tightening it down is what caused the problem, or not spacing it properly. I bet you this oil tank is just going to fall on this thing. Well, I got one bolt through this side to hold it up. And now the bolt I just put in, it's locked in there. Uh-oh, she's going. Well, this is all just going to fall on me. There goes the oil tank. And the fender's coming out. Excellent. I'm going to hurt these air lines there. There we go. You see here on our fender where this stuff was just bowed out here, and we had some bowed out back here. Not too bad in the fronts right there, and then the same over here. So our holes that are on there that are existing are in pretty bad shape. So we'll have to figure something out to get those tidied up as best as possible and get them bolted up right. Okay, oil tank time. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this feed line down here on the bottom. The oil's going to go everywhere. Of course, I'm sure, residual that's in there. But this will be easier if I can just get to it with the old scissors. Oh yeah, there goes the oil. Well, not too bad so far. Now if I can just get this monstrosity out. Well, it's not coming out this way. How on earth did they get this thing in here? Can I go that way with it? I think that's the answer. I think we gotta go to the other side, dang it. All right, please come out. I don't want to have to do any real creative cutting. Well, there wasn't much wiggle room on this thing. Oh, what in the world? What on earth is the problem? I'm hung up on up here. Oh, I got some wires hung up. Whoops. Don't need that. Don't need any more wiring problems. Am I hitting these lines? Maybe? Oh, now I got some other lines that are dripping. Whoops. I got oil coming from everywhere. Well, I don't really know what to do here. Don't tell me. Man, if they welded some of this together on the bike. Oh, you know what though? I bet if I remove the fitting out of the oil tank, I can probably get it to come out. Now, I hope I can get this fitting off. Probably can't with this tank loose. Boy, I got oil going everywhere now. I might actually have to rinse this thing off again. Oh, of course, that's not going to come out. That thing is like, it's in there. I need this to be mounted up to loosen it. Oh, that ain't doing nothing. That's just rounding that off. What the heck? Well, I think I'm just going to start bending and breaking stuff until we get this out of here. get this little lip here for this battery tray to go under the frame, I think we'll be in good shape. That's why I was bending it down some. Almost got it. Close. Very close. There we are. Just had to bend it. And we are removed, finally. Whew, what a mess, though. Lots of oil, but we'll get it cleaned out. Well, I was about to start mocking everything up back here, but I've actually decided to wait. Now, for the oil tank and the side covers, I'm not really worried about that stuff. I mean, we know the oil tank's going to go right on because, you know, it's for this frame. Side covers, we might have to get a little creative, but I think they'll go. But my big concern is just going to be these bags, because they're going to be, you know, they're going to be the definition of a square peg in a round hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and just kind of, you know, do some thinking with this stuff over the next couple of days, which means I'm going to basically sit in the garage and stare at it for about 80 hours every night. But we really want to put some time into these bags because we want them to function, we want them to be mounted solid, and also we want them to, you know, we want them to look a little good, and that's going to be quite the challenge on this one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we get back to you next time. We are going to start on the back end of this bike, mocking everything up, including those crazy saddlebags. But other than that, we have got a long way to go on this bike still. So if you want to catch those future videos coming out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching. We'll chat with you next time.